Hello everyone, I'm back with another lightsaber build. In the previous build video, I mentioned I was sent 2 hilts to install for someone. Last time I installed a Corbanth ROTS Flex with an Eco Crystal Chamber, and this time I'll be installing the OWK TPM. Let's get started by checking out what we've got to work with. This is the OWK TPM from Corbanth. Let's take a closer look at the hilt. The rest of the stuff in here is just a mix of what's included with the hilt and what was sent to me for the install. Here's a bunch of different electronics, and some more install parts. The last thing is actually inside the hilt, and that'd be the chassis I'll be using. This is a really cool chassis. It came from Corbanth and was printed in nylon, I believe, so it has a super premium and sturdy feel, not to mention the little designs on the chassis to make it look nicer. I can't wait to get this installed. Not only is it one of my favorite hilts, but the chassis is actually designed to have a removable crystal chamber. This is going to be a fun project. Let's get to installing this Obi-Wan lightsaber with a removable crystal chamber. The first step is to go over all the parts. Of course, we have the hilt. Then we have the chassis to hold all the electronics. For a soundboard, I'll be using the Profi V2. Next is the NeoPixel connector. This is a type I've never used before. For sound, this fits a 28mm bass speaker. This will all be powered by an 18650 lithium-ion battery. This is the power switch. Here are the buttons, which actually have pixels on them too. Speaking of pixels, this is the micro one that'll light up the crystal. These are the battery tabs. And lastly, the windows for the emitter. Now that I showed you all the parts, let's begin the install by setting up the NeoPixel connector. One of the most satisfying parts of the lightsaber build is putting these pins in place. I don't know what it is about this, but it's just kinda relaxing. Not that it all matters much because it's immediately followed by having to solder them all down and get the pads pre-tinned. This part just feels tedious and annoying. Not that it's hard or anything, it just really tests my patience sometimes. But then we come to attaching the wires, which is way more fun. After the NeoPixel connector is all set up, the finishing touch is to sand down the little frill things on the side so it'll fit into the chassis. The next parts I'm going to work on are the 2 buttons. For some reason they came stuck together, so I'll have to break them apart first. Alright, so these buttons have pixels on them, which seems pretty useless until you realize that one of the buttons on the hilt is actually shine-through. I figured why not set one of these up to have the pixels actually work. So that's what I did. I guess we'll see how it looks. After I did that, I attached the button pixel positive and negative to the NeoPixel connector, and then moved on to finish the second, more boring button. Kinda cool I can screw these in, but I also glued them just in case. Here's a look at what I did to the button negatives. The battery tabs were next, so I attached the positive tab to the NeoPixel connector and added another wire that'll go to the power switch. The negative tab is always super easy. It's just one negative wire that'll go straight to the soundboard. Working our way down the chassis brings me to the crystal pixel. You know, the pixel to light up the crystal. After that, it's the speaker. Once the wires are all on, I went ahead and added some heat shrink, both to protect it and to make it cool once it's in the chassis. And here I am after I realized I wanted the button pixel negative to go to the board instead. After that I was kinda tired, so this is all the footage I got of the power switch. But that brings us to the final step, installing the soundboard. There's quite a few wires to work with, but definitely not the most I've done. Plus it's Profi, so it's pretty straightforward. And now, we have a fully installed chassis. Check out the removable crystal chamber. It's such a cool design. I forgot to film the crystal getting glued in, but here's the end result. Let's put this crystal in, boot up the lightsaber, and see if it works. Nice. I heard the speaker, and both the crystal and button pixel lit up. It's all looking good. Now to turn it on. Let's try the removable crystal. Oh man, that's just so cool. Now, before we put the chassis in the hilt, let's put the finishing touches on it. The first things we've got are the emitter windows. I went ahead and took them out so we can work on them easier. Here are the little plastic things that go inside the windows I just took out. Now to put some Loctite on the sides of them, and push them in the windows, making sure not to get Loctite anywhere. And here we go, this is how it looks now. The last thing I needed to do was a little but super necessary fix. You see how the bottom of the button has a gap in it? Well, that actually prevents the button from being pressed. So I went ahead and 3D printed a little clear plastic circle to glue there. So now the button can be pressed and the light from the pixel will still shine through. And now it's time to finally put the chassis in the hilt. Wow, all that light shining through the hilt is super cool, and setting up the pixels for the button was totally worth it. Let's take a closer look at what the shine-through button looks like. I'm actually very curious since it's actually a purple gem thing.
Purple, red, yellow, white.
Anakin Skywalker, Darth Vader, General Kenobi.
Cal Kestis, tell me, is this training?
My training? No. Always training. The universe is. Teensy. Smooth Jedi. Smooth fuzz. Smooth gray. Teensy.
Battery level, 2.
Alright, well now we know. Let's put in a blade. Let's check out the fonts, colors, and profiles.
Whatever happens, you're not alone.
Teensy.
And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you liked the video, and be sure to subscribe if you want to see all the lightsaber builds I have coming up. Feel free to stick around if you want to get one final look at the crystal chamber chassis, but if not, thanks again for watching, and look forward to the next video.